Just how much have you learned about the depth of your secondary in the last 3 weeks?
I learned what I would have liked to have learned in spring practice. We were just talking to somebody else about, I think we're finally starting to get the pieces in the right places. That's something that we would have liked to have figured out in spring practice, but that was the hand that we were dealt. And I think that we've got a lot of guys that can play, a lot of guys that contribute. In fact, there's going to be more guys to contribute than there's going to be opportunities. We've got a lot of good players there, a lot of good depth. We feel good about the situation.
Obviously, things can happen the rest of the year that could dictate you have to go in a different direction just because of all the circumstances. But you kind of feel comfortable in making nickel a permanent home for AJ Parker at this point?
I think so. You said it. I mean, it's a fluid situation, but he's so comfortable in there. I think it's just there are better matchups for him in there. He does such a good job in zone. He really understands the game. He's got great feel for things, got great vision. He's just really, really natural in there. I think that's where he belongs.
And finally, you kind of talked last week about trying to move Wyatt Hubert around to give him more opportunities to exploit one-on-one situations. Do you guys feel like you took a step forward against Texas Tech with Wyatt's production?
Really, that in particular is difficult to do against Texas Tech because of the speed that they go with, and the fact that we were summing guys in and out like a hockey team. I mean, we didn't know who was in there sometimes. But yeah, we did. We got him in some competitive situations, and he thrived like we thought he would.
Thanks, Coach.
Kellis?
Texas Tech had some success running the ball right up the middle against you guys. When you went back and evaluated things, what just kind of went wrong there?
Just some missed fits, just some easy missed fits. And it wasn't all back end guys. I mean, sometimes things happen in the front end where a defensive tackle that's in a gap fighting a double team, the double team separates and he gets out of his gap. A backer doesn't get a great alignment and maybe falls back a gap too far. Just some easily correctable things that I don't know if it was the tempo or what not sure why it happened, but we'll get them corrected.
You've played both Wayne Jones and Ross Elder at that safety spot next to McPherson this year. Is there a guy you're more comfortable with right there at the moment, or is it fluid like you've mentioned?
Still very fluid. Another guy that I would add is TJ Smith, who played about 30 snaps as a true freshman. And he was phenomenal. I mean, he played a really good ball game, and he'd be a guy that would be in that discussion as well.
John?
Yeah, Joe, obviously in particular in the second half there were a number of targeting reviews and, some of those hits were close. Do you have to, after that, look at the guys and say, hey, maybe back off a little bit, or do you just keep letting them do what they've been doing?
We don't. I'm glad you brought that up. We don't want to slow our guys down at all. We do appreciate them running through contact. I think the two things that we're emphasizing on a daily basis is got to lower your target zone. We're not trying to get anywhere near the head. We always say nipples and below is what we always tell the secondary. Just so that it doesn't slip up. If you say neck or below it, you could be in the neck and, you could easily get one. The other thing we're emphasizing is just keeping our guys' heads up and out of contact. And if we do those two things, we'll be fine. We can play at the speed that we're playing at, hopefully.
Appreciate it, Joe. Thanks.
Michael?
Joe, your defense has been kind of a turnover machine. How is it that you've been so opportunistic?
I think we're doing a lot of things out of zone coverage, which keeps multiple eyes on the ball. I think it's probably suits who we are personnel-wise, and it also, provides those opportunities. So if a ball does get tipped, a ball gets tipped and you're playing man, using the Oklahoma example, a ball gets tipped and you're playing man, the thing probably falls on the grass and everybody's happy. A ball gets tipped and you got 7 sets of eyes on it, hopefully somebody can get underneath it and cash in on it.
And how key have your second level, your linebackers, veteran linebackers, been to holding your defense together this season?
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, those guys are, Justin Hughes as a communicator, Eli Sullivan as a guy that can just run things down with speed, not to mention Cody Fletcher as a guy that's played a lot of ball, and Deuce Green that's played a lot of ball. Those guys have been very rock solid, and we look forward to that continuing.
Thanks, Joe.
Last one here, Fitz.
Coach, players talk about the game slowing down for them when it kind of, starts. They can think faster than the pace of the game. You as a defensive coordinator, it's been a while since you've called the plays. Is the game slowing down for Joe Klanderman as defensive coordinator?
That's a great question. I don't. Yes, I mean I think I've learned some things. I don't know that I necessarily ever feel rushed. I felt like I was in control even with the speed of Texas Tech, of just how I wanted the flow to go. There were some opportunities I wish we would have cashed in on. For example, that opening drive of the second half where there were multiple third down opportunities and we didn't convert on any of them defensively and just allowed that drive to continue to leak and play out. But I don't think as a play caller, I feel like I'm that I was ever behind the eight ball. I do think that there are some situational things that I can certainly learn from.
And I'm not asking you to show any cards here, but do you feel like maybe through these first 3 games you've been a little bit more conservative than you might be over the long haul, or is this kind of what we're going to see from Joe Klanderman?
Well, no, I understand the question. I'll just say that you have to do what suits your personnel,
right.
And I don't know that it's necessarily my. I'm going to do what our guys can execute and do, and if that's bringing a bunch of pressure, then I'm all for it. If it's sitting back and playing some softer zones, then that's what we're going to do. And I think that you can only play the cards that you're dealt. And that's a fluid thing. So, you have to have a lot of things on the table each week.
And you weren't the D coordinator last year, but Max Dugan had a rather incredible touchdown run in which he never broke 5 miles an hour, but he broke like 5 tackles along the way to the end zone. Is that the stuff of nightmares for a defensive coordinator?
It's very very scary. We have had some troubles last week with some rush lanes and things, and that happens sometimes when you have good pass rushers, and the cover downs and the coverage can be great and it can be set and he can not see anything there and he can just find a little crease in between 2 guys and take off and go. And that's what happened last year a number of times. And I think that, unfortunately, I think we were the ones that let the cat out of the bag because I don't think he was much of a runner before our game. And now that's his MO. So that's going to be certainly a key to the game that we're going to have to keep him contained. And if we can bottle up his rushing yards, both as a scrambler and as a designed runner, then we're going to be in pretty good shape.